Push-ups are a fundamental bodyweight movement that everybody can and should master, but there's a big difference between kind of a sloppy, crappy looking push-up and a really tight looking push-up. There are 4 key things that go into perfecting the push-up, and when you master the push-up, all of your other upper body exercises should also get better because all the same concepts are going to be coming into play. So let's get into it. The first thing that we want to do is focus on our core control. So I don't want to be sloppy in my push-up. I need to make sure that I'm actively squeezing my bum and tightening my abs. So when you're imagining you're tightening your abs, think if someone was about to whack you in the stomach really hard, you just tense up. I'm not pushing my abs out or sucking them in. They're just a little bit more engaged. I want to make sure that I maintain that all the way down and all the way up, and then I'm not kind of flopping or doing any kind of weird breakdancing move, okay? So squeeze the bum, squeeze the abs. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is going to be making sure that my head stays neutral. So it's very common in a push-up for the head to kind of reach down to where my chin is the first thing that hits the floor, and I get into this kind of a posture, which makes it harder to control the shoulder, and it's just not generally a position that we want to get in the habit of being in because it's less efficient and kind of awkward. So what we want to make sure instead is that the chin is kind of tucked back into the face, and one thing that can help is keeping your eyes a little bit up instead of down to the floor, making sure that the chest is the first thing that touches, not the head. Okay? Third thing we want to look at is our shoulder control, controlling our shoulder position and basically keeping the shoulder centered in the joint. So what I mean by this is when we do a push-up, a lot of times the shoulder kind of moves around or maybe hikes up toward the shoulder. Ideally, if I could kind of find the center of my shoulder right in here somewhere, that point should pretty much stay in the same spot. So I'm engaging the muscles in my back a little bit to anchor my shoulder, to keep it nice and centered here, versus being slack and having a lot of excess movement in that joint. When I'm under load, that's just not going to be a good idea. That's going to cause a lot of extra wear and tear on the joint. And although it may feel weaker and more difficult to really do a good controlled push-up at first, as you get stronger and stronger in that position, it's going to feel more and more comfortable and much better than if you're loosey-goosey and just kind of wearing your shoulder out over time. So what that looks like is this. A good repetition is like that, and a kind of sloppy one usually looks like that. Hopefully that's bad enough to see. It's kind of hard to do sometimes. So we've got our shoulder control. The last key piece with a really good push-up is how we initiate the movement. And this is going to make our shoulder control concept a little bit easier to implement. What I want to make sure is when I'm lowering down, I don't want my shoulder to go straight down to the floor. That's going to result in a, actually I'll face this way, pretty awkward position where my elbows kind of flare out and my shoulders are much more likely to hike up. What I want to do is get into a position like this, where my forearm stays totally vertical, pointing to the ceiling. And the easiest way to do that is to actually go a little bit down and forward. So instead of my shoulders going straight down to the floor, they're going to go just like that. Now, my forearm stays vertical, which is exactly where we want it to be in any kind of a press. And my shoulder can actually swing and pivot instead of getting jammed up. So you guys want to master core control, head position, shoulder position, and make sure you are initiating that push-up by allowing the shoulders to come a little bit forward instead of squishing yourself down. When you do that, you want to try to apply those same lessons to virtually any kind of upper body pressing, whether it is a bench press, incline press, or whatever else you're doing. That's it. 4 things. There you go.